Listen to the sound of footsteps in the dark, to voices that may not be quite human, to the sound of screams in the night. The Haunted Cabaret, the home of all things horror, on Rhode-IslandFreeRadio.org, with your host, George Garner. The Haunted Cabaret starts now.
Obviously, Alice Cooper, $1 Billion Babies, ringing in this week's episode of The Haunted Cabaret here on Rhode Island Free Radio. I'm your host, as always, George Garner. Seated at the table with me, Chuckles the Clown.
Good evening. Great selection, by the way, to start things off.
To my left, Psycho Eddie.
Hey, everybody.
Behind the board, Tony Jones.
And the reason why Chuckles thought that was a great selection is because it's something that I ripped off of his playlist that was on the computer a few weeks ago.
Hey, why not?
As I've said more than once, internet radio is a parasitic profession. Whether it be music or guests or, yes, we don't accomplish anything through hard work that we can get easy.
We're like pirates.
Yeah, hence the term, pirate radio. I see it. I sense a connection now. You know, I mean, even plain old pirates on the high seas, though, that probably do more work than us. So I'm not sure if, you know, I mean, you know, hijacking firing rifles. That's hard work compared to what we do.
True to the American culture that it's become, we're so fat, lazy, and slovenly that we really can't go and actually do the pillaging of the pirates of yore. We're now the Americanized, pussified pirates who only steal music from each other.
Right. We operate over the internet, but without the class and the distinction of the Russian hackers.
Oh, definitely.
We're just basically slovenly, bottom feeding. I don't know, crayfish.
Maybe? Yeah, I'd go that crayfish. Maybe a lobster. Be more majestic.
Maybe one of those albino lobsters.
Be more Rhode Island.
Very distinctive. Yeah, an albino lobster. It looks very distinctive before it hits the dish. Yeah. So as far as I've had an up and down week. Actually, up and down 2 weeks. Got a little medical scare. I mean, that's why the subject on this show was almost going to be deadly diseases, but I dodged a bullet. I had the old upper GI stick the scope down the throat and check the stomach and the throat and everything else there because I've been having a little discomfort, in the throat and the stomach. And but apparently the doctor called back today. He said he looked at the results and no sign of cancer, no sign of anything that will finish me off before my time. Apparently, the upset in the stomach and discomfort in the throat and all these symptoms I'm feeling is just the results of, living a degenerate lifestyle and eating what I'm not supposed to be eating. And
which, by the way, tonight's show is brought to you by Donahue's Pizza.
We throw in the extra grease for free. Good stuff.
Best part.
Yeah, is it Donahue's Pizza?
Yes.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's hitting the spot, no question about it. Being washed down by Dunkin' Donuts.
Of course, a true Rhode Islander.
Yeah.
Yeah, I promise, doctor, I will get on to the medication tomorrow. And I will mend my dietary ways tomorrow. Yeah. If there is tomorrow. I mean, because tomorrow, right, isn't the big summit with North Korea tomorrow? Now, if I was a betting wagerer, and actually I am, I don't know, Tony, what do you think? What would the betting board look like when the two of them, Trump and Kim, get together? Well, let's see. They see each other face to face and start throwing punches. What would you put that at? Maybe 5-1?
I think it's the opposite. I think it's like when you have the two big dogs in the yard and they bark and bark, but when they finally get next to each other, they just sniff each other's asses.
Right, and they're gonna make nice.
Just to add, a bit of weirdness into it, they also brought Dennis Rodman with them, right?
They're bringing Dennis Rodman this time.
He's with them right now.
That's right, because Kim did say he was a big fan of Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman's one of the few Americans to visit North Korea and not get thrown in jail.
Yeah.
That's right.
Not get slaughtered.
If I remember correctly, Kim Jong-un and Dennis Rodman actually have a pretty good, I want to say relationship, but I know it's going to be taken the wrong way.
No, I understand what you're saying. Right, a friend.
They have a friendship.
Yeah.
Which goes above and beyond political borders and whatever. Mm-hmm. And why the two of them hit it off, I have no idea. But they do. They get along quite well. Right.
Well, they're both arrogant. They're both egotistical. Dennis Rodman thinks he can do no wrong. He's a failure morally. I think they have a lot in common. Right? That's it.
If you put it that way, I could be friends with with Kim.
Well, so could any of us. That's why I think Donald Trump will get along, fine. The only thing that might throw a wrench into the works is if when they first meet, Donald Trump gives him the handshake of death, breaks Kim's fingers. Yeah. Kim starts screaming. They launch, and we end up getting World War III.
Yeah.
Because of a malfunctioning, a handshake malfunction. So I would put that maybe 10-1.
They both have those briefcase, tied to their wrists with the nuclear codes in them.
Yeah. Yeah, and they say Trump asked 5 times how it works when they were showing him around.
Scary.
Yeah. But no, I think they're going to meet on. I think you're right. I think all the barking is going to turn into sniffing.
Yeah.
And I think they say Trump is going to bring him some McDonald's, Big Macs, And Kim already said he wants a Trump hotel in North Korea.
It's what they call down south, big hat, no cattle.
There you go. Well, we may be a little short on cattle. We're probably short on a lot of things ourselves right here at the studio. We're not short on music, and this is an excellent playlist. So what I want to do is, possibly get through all of it. I think that just for once. It could be happening. It could happen.
No, not possible. There's too much good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, maybe you're right, but we're going to give it a try anyway. Let's go back to the Melvins. How was some Night Goat here on the Haunted Cabaret on Rhode Island Free Radio?
So much for my diet. That pizza smells.
All right, that was the Melvins Night Goat, as opposed to Goat Whore. As opposed, I don't know. I think lately I just have a thing about with goats. I don't have a hang up with goats.
Are you going with the devil's horns?
Well, then we got Lovecraft's Goat with 1,000 Young. We got maybe it's not me. Maybe it's society that's going goat. I think ever since they put that statue of Baphomet up there in the what was it?
Salem?
Yeah.
Was it? I think it was Oklahoma. Remember they put it on the State House grounds
Yeah.
because if the Ten Commandments were going to be there, then Baphomet, the goat, was going to be there too.
I believe there's one up closer too. Like I think there's one up in Salem, Mass.
I think you're right now. It's more recent, right?
Yeah.
Or just possibly is it because of the residence or the neighborhood you live in could possibly be farmland, and the ghost of a former goat, now disembodied spirit, is haunting you.
The ghost of former
Farm
animals.
Oh, that's,
Bones lying just 2 or 3 feet beneath the ground.
Exactly.
That's deep.
It is.
That's
Well,
some deep stuff.
Or in that neighborhood, the ghost of that goat's virginity.
and the terrible thing is I can picture a couple of guys right now in here
The
that,
hills have eyes, baby.
yeah, so that brings to mind, remember I wasn't with the band at the time, but remember, Tony, when the Gorners recorded, was it the Sodom?
Oh, yeah.
What was that? What was that song you guys recorded? And you had the goat on there, the bleeding goat, with come here, little goat. Bah. Blasphemer. That's what it was. Yes, yeah. One of my all-time favorite Garner songs that I didn't even get to play on. Well, that's not my fault. I was trying to be adult at that time. I was going to New England Tech to.
We all make mistakes.
Yeah, we do. I didn't mistakenly accrue a big student loan though. I mean that was foolish and deliberate. So no question about that. But yeah, goats. Now, Chuckles, you just mentioned that you are falling into the hands of fake media.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the fake media has asked you for an article about your comings, goings, what you're doing, your show.
Yep.
Just be very careful what you put down on paper.
Oh, definitely. I already sent it out though, so if it's any damage done, it's already done now.
Well, let's put it this way. Let me put it very delicately. You didn't mention any of your hobbies.
No, none of my hobbies. We're clear on that one.
All right, good. Because some of them. I mean, some of them on this very show that we've discussed would not be appropriate for a wide circulation newspaper.
Yeah, this isn't the first time in a newspaper though. This is actually the first time on a good terms.
Well, that's what I mean. The first time you were not on trial.
Oh yeah.
Can
you imagine if I had beheaded Trump now? How much trouble I'd be in?
Man.
I mean,
it depends. It depends. If you were, that's right, because you did your ritual in effigy beheading of Obama, right?
right, and I caught heat
And
for
Bush
that.
and Bush before that.
Bush. I've also done Hillary
Yeah,
Clinton.
actually, to some of our listeners that might not have been with us all these from the get go. What? Yeah, just fill us in on that little routine that you had going for a while there.
It's just a small little thing we do where we execute presidents, former and present.
And present.
So we just haven't gotten a Donald Trump impersonator to come down yet.
Well, it depends. I mean, depending on where you execute the, where you perform the symbolic execution. I mean, you might get rousing cheers or you might get lynched. I mean, Donald Trump is a very polarizing character.
Might be able to get Robert De Niro on your show.
Yeah, threatening to punch everybody in the face.
That'd be pretty nice. I want to film him punching everybody in the face.
I'll tell you, that is one guy. I think he's probably like demented and with like a touch of something at the age of whatever he is, because I think De Niro actually thinks he is his movie roles at this point. He even in casual conversation he talks like a gangster now. Yeah, what was his most famous role? He was, I know he was Raging Bull, the box, but as a gangster though, did he play? Was he in The Godfather? 'Cause Al Pacino was the Michael Corleone in The Godfather. What was Robert De Niro's famous gangster thing?
I believe it was Casino. He was in Casino.
He was in Casino. He was the casino boss in that one.
He did the mafia spoof with what's his name? Billy Crystal.
Okay.
He did actually a couple of those.
Yeah, I'm trying to. There was one movie though that like he played the gangster.
Yeah.
And Goodfellas.
Hell, we have the internet right at my fingers.
Well, Well, the point is anyway, regardless of which part he played, he's playing that part daily now.
Yeah.
Like kind of like in Psycho, when Norman Bates is half his mother's personality, and then in the end, he's all his mother's personality. It's taken over.
Right.
Well, kind of the same thing. Robert De Niro's gangster screen roles have taken over his mind. Yeah, now he just walks around with a smirk on his face, threatening to punch everybody in the face. Yeah.
I hate to say that, but that happens.
He was in Goodfellas.
Okay.
He was in Godfather.
It happens a lot in media where the media personalities just become caricatures of themselves.
Yeah.
He was in Casino, Goodfellas, Heat. He was in The Godfather. He's got like 45 other movies that he was in.
I think it's actually
the Intern was one of his more recent ones.
Yeah, I think it's actually The Godfather though that I'm thinking of him as a gangster from, because Michael Corleone, or rather, Al Pacino played Michael Corleone, right?
Yes.
Who became the main character in the second Godfather and third. But I think Robert De Niro was the main character, one of the main characters in.
Godfather 2.
Okay. That's what it was. That's right. Robert De Niro played Don Corleone as a young man. That's
Yes.
what it was. It was like, because Godfather.
He played Vito Corleone when he first came to America, when he was first getting started as a mobster.
Right.
So, I mean, if you followed Godfather 2, he started off when he was a child, and they bounced back and forth, childhood, middle age, or young adult.
Well, it's childhood. It's the youth of Vito Corleone, played by Robert De Niro.
Yes.
Is one thread of the story.
Yes.
Then they bounce back and forth between that and Michael Corleone,
Yes.
Al Pacino's, Godfather.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I remember him playing the gangster from. Yeah, and he did a really good job too. The only problem is he assimilated the character, kind of like
Even when he went and did the Meet the Fockers. He played the tough guy, but he played more of a G-man than he did. But it's like one hand washes the other.
Right.
You're only splitting hairs on what hat you're wearing that day.
Yeah.
right.
Even the most recent thing I've seen him do, Jim Norton just put out a Netflix comedy 2-hour show, whatever it is. And in the beginning of the show, Bobby De Niro is smacking the crap out of him. Literally has him bent over a chair smacking his ass. So yeah, it's a little warped.
How the mighty have fallen. That's all I got to say. But yeah, okay. I guess you could say if you're a De Niro fan, it's a good thing that the last time a person assimilated his screen character that enthusiastically was Heath Ledger with the Joker, and Heath Ledger committed suicide after he assimilated the Joker. So I guess it's to the good that Robert De Niro was only threatening to punch people in the face. So yeah, I'll tell you one thing that Robert De Niro should not be forgiven for is always his version of Frankenstein.
Yeah, no, that was
Yeah,
horrible.
I remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember much of it, but all I remember is I didn't watch the whole thing. It was just I think I tried watching it. I said, this is awful. It's the worst version of the Frankenstein movie story ever, which is saying something, really. It really is. And bad job. No, Robert De Niro's Frankenstein sucks, and Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is probably the worst version of Dracula. So just the two most iconic monsters there both have their really sucky adaptations. No question about it.
Those adaptations are so bad. I know nobody would want to speak up in this situation, but I can't believe that there was nobody at that filming, in the first couple days when it started that said, like, guys, this sucks. People there had to know, oh my God, we're laying an egg right now.
Yeah. Well, maybe was the Frankenstein at least, was that more of a De Niro vanity project?
Yeah, maybe he he was footing the bill, so that
Right.
always helps.
Right. So nobody was going to let's say help it grind to a halt, because no, Robert De Niro was just running amok. A lot of big actors get that way. Like Robert De Niro's that way. I think Jack Nicholson is the epitome of a guy that he used to be a good actor, but nowadays, no matter what movie he's in, he's just Jack Nicholson
He barely
playing.
gets cast in anything anymore.
What's that?
He barely gets cast in anything anymore.
Well, he can't play anything anymore unless you have a role for Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Playing Jack Nicholson.
The only other thing he could play is a liver spot.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and I know, The Shining people, I've already talked exhaustively about, but it has its moments, but most of them don't involve Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
And probably the most horrible one, though, movie that he was ever in. It wasn't supposed to be a horror movie, but it qualifies as one because he was an older guy, and he was messing around with this young girl in her 20s, right? But then he met the girl's mother and hooked up with her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, who played the mother in that movie? And which this is what qualifies. Is it Kathy Bates?
No.
But someone equally as gross.
Yeah.
That's not
It
nice.
was Something's Gotta Give, I believe is the name of that one.
Okay.
I'm bringing it up right now.
Yeah, I think she was also the person that played in like Dolores Claiborne.
Yeah, no, she actually wasn't that bad looking.
She was naked.
Well,
After she reached that, she played that role I think in her 50s.
here we go. I'm bringing up the IMDb right now. Diane Keaton.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah, but it was a 50-year-old Diane
Yeah,
Keaton.
it was a much older Diane Keaton.
Yeah, naked. Yeah.
Ugh.
As everyone just kind of like settles into that image, I'm glad. If no one ever saw that on film, don't watch it now. It's just it's unsettling. Like women over 40 shouldn't be portrayed naked. Like they just shouldn't. I mean, actually, for that matter, like I have a little thing with beaches myself personally. I mean, if you're over 40, don't wear a bikini.
Yeah.
Don't show too much of that irradiated, sun-damaged skin. Don't show too much of that flesh that looks like
Right.
the
You see,
mama.
I don't want to drop the curtain I've got going on right now, but I have to.
I'm going to
counter.
instigate you into it.
I'm going to counter this. Now there are some which, yes, they shouldn't even be able to wear a bathing suit, pants, and a long sleeve shirt when they get because they're
That's why the Muslim men first invented burqas to cover up things like this.
And by the way, don't hit us and say that we're sexist because this goes both ways. When Big Tony goes to the beach, Big Tony shouldn't be out there in a Speedo, right?
Absolutely.
I agree.
It's both sides.
You kid
Trust
my-
me, I wear board shorts and a
Right?
t-shirt,
Yeah.
even when I'm in a foreign country where everyone else is not.
Yeah.
But I mean,
It's up to me. I'd be wearing a pair of jeans.
Oh yeah,
I've been through the Caribbean. I've been on a lot of islands, and I've seen some people who, from the neck up, look their age, and from the neck down, you're like, well, wait, that should not be attached to that head.
All right, now you do have a point there. Right, because these are like mostly modest women who only unveil themselves in the heat of summer.
Exactly.
Right. In other words, from the neck up and the wrist down. Right, they look like the petrified dinosaur remains in the New England Natural History Museum.
Yeah.
That fossilized. But you're right. Underwear clothes usually protect.
Yeah.
You're right. No, you're right.
I am also going to bring another fact, which is going to horrify a lot of people.
You're on the show for it.
If you've listened to my show at all, you know that I used to work at a gentleman's club. And one day I was asked to give one of the dancers a ride home because she was far too drunk.
Wait, a drunk stripper? Stop the presses.
Well, when we get to her house, there was a little kid running around. I said, "Is that yours?" She said, "Yeah, that's my grandson."
Oh.
And your hands and your dick crept right up here.
Oh no, I wasn't. I had no intention on doing anything, anyways.
Okay, luckily.
But then when I pried a little bit more, and I realized that now this is going back 20 years.
Uh-huh.
This girl or woman, its grandmother, has had far too much plastic surgery, where from the neck down, looked like she was in her 20s, and when you put her in regular lighting like we have in the studio now,
Right.
you can see that she was 63 years old.
God forbid what she would look like you put under a black light.
Well, no, the black light, yeah, she would look like a Rorschach test, actually. But put her in club lighting, even like just slightly dim lighting, you would swear she was 20, all right, maybe 30s.
Right.
If you put her in actual bright lighting, like when the house lights come on when they're clearing out the club,
And as Tony
she
likes
was the
to
first
say-
one that scatters like a cockroach.
Yep. Tony Jones's favorite expression. Yep.
Oh,
They
yeah.
scatter like cockroaches.
Because I've been there, man. I mean, you're talking to a girl all night,
Club Hell especially
Yeah.
epitomized that.
Things
Yeah.
are going well, and then as soon as they put those floodlights on, you're like, oh, man. And you know what? She's probably thinking the same thing when she's looking at me. Again, it goes both ways. But
Yeah. So what you're saying is that from the neck down, she had all the plastic surgery.
Oh, even from the neck up, but from the neck up, they didn't do as good of a job as they did from the neck down.
some of the, I
Okay.
mean, the nascent days of plastic surgery, some of that stuff like wore off eventually too.
Oh, plus it was trial and error,
Yeah.
and it was only only
Yeah.
kind of like
And-
a car, like
and-
only a short time guarantee.
And when you think about it, the good plastic surgeons made you look like Joan Rivers or Michael Jackson, and those were your choices. Everybody looked the same.
Right. Yeah, kind of like a good used car. You know what I'm saying? That you try to patch up and get like more money than it's worth in
Yeah.
a used car lot.
Just
a
let
little
me get
bit of
it.
Bondo, a little bit of silicone, moving on to the next one.
Just
Yeah,
let me
tur-
get it to pass inspection one more time.
Turn back the odometer. Chuckles, I'm very surprised that you haven't joined in on this very petty and
I believe it's because his wife listens to the show from time to time, so he's probably trying to stay off the couch.
No, I have a large female clientele that watches the show, so I'm trying to keep myself out of trouble.
okay, which is damning in itself. You know that the fact that you're not saying a word in support of us, or
Now,
to
we
jump-
could really throw him under the bus and say he's just shaking his head in agreement with everything we're saying.
like kind of like a baseball bobblehead thing.
Exactly. Now,
But-
whether or not he actually is, they're going to believe it because we've actually vocalized it.
And we've said it on media,
Exactly. It's got to be true.
Yeah, oh yeah.
especially because it's not only media, but it's
Internet
media. Okay. And so now as Chuckles tries to like come up with some kind of defense that nobody will listen to because we said it on internet media. Let's go back to the music temporarily. Let's do Faith No More. That's it. Yeah, let's do. We care a lot. we don't do these things on purpose. We really don't. We care a lot. All right. That was Faith No More. We care a lot, and yes, we do. It's just the things that we care about, are sometimes open to question, and
Some
maybe
people
not.
may say not very mature.
Well, I like to think of it as not very conscientious. We care about a lot of things, just not the same things that you do. One thing I think a lot of us can be in agreement with, and Chuckles, this is really up your alley. New Jurassic World coming out.
Yep.
I watched the Jurassic Park movies. Like I've said before, the first three, I like the idea. It's an awesome idea. I don't think they did that good a job. The first Jurassic World was like a quantum step up. A lot better. Still had a couple of problems. First and foremost, a woman in high heels racing ahead of a raging Tyrannosaurus Rex.
No, the first and foremost problem with those movies is they made them PG-13.
Yeah. Well, that's number one, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they had gone the R rating like Spielberg wanted to originally, it would have been a lot better.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they're great movies, don't get me wrong, but they would have been up there.
Yeah, the only other fault, besides the fact that a woman in high heels can outrace a Tyrannosaurus Rex, the other major problem I had with the first three, especially, was the kids that you hate in them. There's always obnoxious kids that don't die, no matter what happens to them. It kind of reminds me of the Gamera movies. Remember the Gamera movies from, not Toho, but the Daiei?
Of course I remember those.
Yeah, many of us do. And there was always this obnoxious kid in there. Sometimes as time went on, there was like 2 or 3 obnoxious kids in the same movie that put a boy, a girl, and then an American obnoxious kid. Sometimes there were 3 of them. But it was the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And you had to endure, no matter how much you were enjoying the rest of the movie, you had to endure these obnoxious kids. And I'll never forgive Steven Spielberg for what he did in the first Jurassic Park movie, when that rotten kid that I hated put his hands on that electric fence.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And he went flying. I said I was ready to salute that director, as a man who, of integrity, who was willing to do anything to get a rise out of people in a monster movie. And the kid lived. If that kid had fried like he was supposed to, that would have turned those movies up a notch too, because then you would have been saying to yourself, anything can happen. Right? Instead, when you know that the only, kind of like the old Star Trek TV series, the only people that are going to die in this episode are the 2 guys in the red shirts that are not continuing characters. Right? Same thing in Jurassic Park, the first 3 movies. In other words, after the bad guy dies and after the sacrificial guy dies, the 2 red shirts die, there's no suspense for the rest of the movie. That was a problem. But Jurassic World, it improved on that. And, yeah, we finally got a dinosaur fight worthy of the name. The only problem, now, check me on this now, I recently rewatched. The only problem with Jurassic World is that basically we had the day saved by the T-Rex, right, that came out to fight the Indominus.
Right.
The only problem was that the T-Rex was kind of, cheapened a little bit by being made a jobber in Jurassic Park 3.
Oh, yeah, it was Spinosaurus, yeah.
Yeah, which was, we've said we both agree on that one. That was the bullshit. Before George Lucas and Steven Spielberg ruined Indiana Jones and Star Wars, they ruined, Tyrannosaurus Rex. or not before, but if they ruined Indiana Jones and Star Wars, it's nothing they didn't do to Tyrannosaurus Rex worse.
Yeah.
Right, so naturally, because what's supposed to happen is when the Tyrannosaurus Rex steps out to fight the Indominus, the audience is supposed to give a big cheer and cheer it on. But when I was in the cinema, that didn't happen because nobody had any confidence in the T-Rex because of that third stupid movie. Kind of like when Mick Foley's tail end of his career, right? He'd come out to the big pop, and then everybody, okay, because you knew he was just going to lose the match in the long stretch.
Right.
Right. But anyway, so that aside,
It even happened with Flair a little bit, towards the end. If he wasn't covered in blood, nobody cared.
Yeah, because he was going to do his same routine and lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's only, and he should have now. See, this is just wishful thinking on my part. But if he had ever just like leaned down and snapped up the bitch in the high heels, swallowed her, and then gone on to the fight, that would have made it too. That would have been classic. But anyway, having said all those quibbles, yes, I'm big time. I've seen the trailers. I'm looking forward big time to this next one. You?
I don't know. I've seen some of the trailers, and the dinosaur going into the bedroom kind of looks kind of stupid. I hope that's a dream sequence and not real, because right there they're definitely reaching a dinosaur going inside someone's house and opening the bedroom door.
Damn it, that's not the trailer I saw. Obviously, or I wouldn't have just given it the I'm looking forward to it treatment. The one I saw was the dinosaurs in the city streets.
Yeah, it's just like Lost World. It's just
right, but I'm assuming that Lost World. All right, maybe I'm assuming too much. I guess an eternal mark here, because I actually got taken in by The Last American Godzilla, thinking that was going to be really good. I actually got excited to go see it. Now I'm excited again to go see it, and I think what happened was maybe I was half asleep or something watching the trailer, so I didn't see the part you're talking about. I just was in and out, maybe. But I saw the dinosaurs in the street, and now I know in Lost World, the second one, which was the Lost World? Second one. Right, but that was only an individual single Tyrannosaurus Rex. Right, loose. I was under the impression that in this new one, it's going to be a menagerie of dinosaurs turned loose in the city. Am I correct, or was I under the influence or sleeping for that trailer that I only saw part of that I realize now?
Yeah, you're correct.
All right, that could make it a lot better. Is it still too much to hope to have some of those raptors gutting little kids?
Not gonna happen. Not on the PG-13.
Maybe like a Dimetrodon, like running between somebody's legs and demasculating them.
That'd be entertaining.
Probably won't happen.
No.
What is going to happen? Anything different than we saw in like the last?
I don't think so. Besides the extra dinosaurs and everything, it looks like it's
a
rehashing something to me for the new generation.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if nothing else, I'm glad that we had this show tonight and you just brought that to my attention. Now I'm not looking forward to it anymore.
Yeah, just save your money and go to the matinee.
Yeah,
that's what I do now.
Well, if I want to see, except if I really do genuinely want to see something, then what I do is I pay full price for the second show of the day, and I'm the only person in the theater.
Yeah, that's good. First thing in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, like the second show. Yeah.
There's another trick that you guys are leaving out, and that is the fact that you should contact the theaters and let them know that you have a radio show, and that will drastically reduce the price you pay to see films.
Yeah,
unless they
unless they tune in, you're tearing it up the next day.
Yeah, yes, unless they tune into this very episode once I mention that. Yeah, I'm just some of the things I've said about Steven Spielberg. If he ever listened to the show, he would have a hitman after me. I sincerely think
he probably will.
Yeah, no, Steven Spielberg is a funny guy because he's made some of my favorite movies and most hated.
This sounds like Damage Control to me.
No, because I hate the ones I hate a lot more than I like the ones I like. So, no, there is no Damage Control. I can't. If I was a career politician, maybe I could, accomplish Damage Control against Steven Spielberg. But I'm not that skilled a prevaricator to Damage Control myself at this point. Was Steven Spielberg. Don't worry about it.
All right.
No, the hatred that I have expressed for Tom Cruise's War of the Worlds alone. The hatred I've expressed for, what's that other one about the Nazis that don't kill anybody? Schindler's List. Yeah, because as a person who has studied the Holocaust, that film, that makes me mad, really disgusted. Well, mostly because, now if somebody's listening to say, well, why is that? I'll tell you, because we have a few minutes left. It's because Schindler's List is the story of a businessman who sheltered more when he went out of his way and took chances to shelter some Jewish people who would have been victims of the Nazi genocide. and he sheltered them and he protected them and he got them to safety. The problem with the movie is that you have to know the history of World War II and the Nazis and the Holocaust to understand what's going on.
Which, by the way, we have a whole generation out there right now that does not.
Right, because one of the big climaxes of the movie is when a whole train car load of people you're going to take a shower before you go to your quarters. And they go into the shower room. Now, traditionally, as any of us who know anything about the Nazis and World War II know, the shower room was just a disguise for the gas chamber.
Yep.
Which the Nazis used to genocide Jews and everybody else they didn't like. But in this movie, when they go into the gas, and like now I'm watching it, and like, ugh, you know what I'm saying? You know what's going to happen. This is going to be horrible. Water comes out and they take a shower. Now, I understand that now it was an exceptional situation. What you're supposed to understand, there was an exceptional situation described in the movie. That these people were going to be saved and they were going to be all right. But that was an exception. It was like 6 million were gassed in those chambers. This one group of people got to take a shower. You follow what I'm saying? But if you didn't know that, the background, you're not getting the idea. You know what I'm saying? It's like cheap. It's trivializing the Holocaust. Like that's, well, whether it's 6 million, 3 million, however many got killed, it's, they're not getting the point across. Kind of like in Natural Born Killers, with that Oliver Stone movie. When Oliver Stone said he was going to make a movie portraying the violent culture of America and condemn it. It was Natural Born Killers, surprisingly enough, which I thought was hilarious and I loved every minute of it, and cheered Mickey and Mallory right to the end. That was supposed to be a movie condemning America's violent culture.
It turned into a love story.
A love story. It was a love story, and it was a glorification
Yep.
of the very violence and lifestyle that Oliver Stone claimed that he was condemning. Same thing with Schindler's List. It was a misfire. I mean, whatever the director's intentions were, okay, you come out, okay, Schindler was a nice guy, and all these Jews got saved, and the Nazis weren't that bad, and they were easy to fool. And okay, Oscar, let's give him an award. Kind of like giving President Obama a Peace Prize for being black or something like that. It gives you the wrong idea. It just would you say that most people are historically ignorant enough that you can't assume anything?
No, not anymore.
No, I preach this as much as I can.
Preach it again, brother.
If you do not remember your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And if you are going to use movies and Hollywood to get your facts from, Schindler's List, was it an actual fact-based, or was it just someone's idea? That's the only part I never really
it was fact-based. There was somebody named Schindler who rescued a bunch of Jewish people from the gas chambers.
No, aside from that, what I've known, what I've read, what I've seen about some of the atrocities that Nazis have done, quote unquote, in the name of science, or just basically to eradicate a whole race of people, pretty much. Why they would allow one person to do this?
Well, they didn't. You mean Schindler?
Yeah,
they didn't allow him. That's another question. He was presented in the movie as heroic, taking big chances to save people. Actually, apparently, there's a lot of blowback on that says Schindler took money for it. In other words, he deceived the Nazis, he fooled them, but he smuggled people to safety because he was bribed. So there's it's arguable.
Yeah, I mean, Hollywood is going to make everything look more dramatic because it sells. What's the reality? He could have been no different than the coyotes running Mexicans across the U.S.-Mexico border. And the only difference is his name is Schindler versus Pedro.
Right. And if the coyote running Mexicans across the border, if those Mexicans make it okay to where they're supposed to go, then he's a hero to a certain group of people.
Yeah.
But he's doing it for the money.
Of course.
Yeah.
Everyone has a motivation to do something.
Even people that are motivated supposedly by charity or, good feel, doing the right thing.
Yeah.
That's still a motive. They're still benefiting from it because they're receiving the good feelings that come from.
Because they did the right thing and they know what they're doing was the right thing to do.
Right.
Give or take. I'm not saying any one thing is right or
Right,
wrong.
but
I'm just saying,
but then they benefit from the good feelings you get from doing what you think is the right thing. So they still benefit, whether it's money or good feelings or something.
yeah.
Yeah. See, you're not going to get any idealism on this show. You're really not.
There's a dark side to everybody.
Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, what's that other movie, Inglourious Bastards?
Yep.
That shows the Jewish fighters like killing Nazis like Star Wars stormtroopers. Not accurate, folks. Just in case anybody's out there listening that needs a correction. Not accurate.
You just don't like that one because Tom Cruise is in it.
I hate anything Tom Cruise is in. I won't even rent. I wouldn't rent a Redbox movie. Nothing. In other words, I will not put $1 into Tom Cruise's pocket. That's how much I hate that guy. Why do I hate Tom Cruise? Because he was in the friggin' Steven Spielberg War of the Worlds, which is the movie I hate most of anything in the world. Tom Cruise was a part of it. I don't, he's a Scientologist too?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a scumbag for that because Scientologists basically are scumbags. But mostly it's because he was in the remake of War of the Worlds, which defecated all over one of my classic favorite science fiction films.
I had high hopes for that movie too.
I did too.
Yeah, I thought this is going to be awesome.
Especially when you see the war machines and things like that.
For me, especially as a fan of radio and what the radio play did for just change the history of media. I was thinking this movie's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Not so much.
No, I would say it had exactly 2 good scenes in it. I mean, I admit that when the war machine came out of the lake and attacked the boat.
Yeah, at least it looked cool.
That looked cool. Yeah, that looked cool. And then there was one scene where the little girl's at the river and all the dead bodies of the fighters are floating down the stream there, merrily down the stream. And it was all political propaganda too. It was all Iraq War allegory, which made it even more contemptible and disgusting. But no, just bad movie on its own. A bad movie at every level, kind of like today's WrestleManias. Like just bad on every level. This is nothing redeeming about them. Was
the only redeeming fact is that it doesn't cost me $75 anymore like it used to back in the day.
Yeah, and we can just pull the movies off. I mean, we can pay the proper amount and watch them in their proper venue.
We will pay all of that.
Yes.
We will not break any fire sticks.
And you know what, though, Tony? How much more time do we have?
5 minutes. 6 minutes. Technically,
6 minutes.
Yeah.
6 minutes and 5 more songs in this playlist.
I told you.
Not happening.
No.
You did. All right. That means, all right, if we have 5 minutes, basically it's good night, see you next episode, right?
Yeah.
And play something.
Yep.
All right. Well, you just heard me say it, so I don't have to say it again. Let's go out with Let's go out with Goat Whore. Let's stick with the goats. Let's go out with Judgment of the Bleeding Crown, Goat Whore. Closing out this episode of the Haunted Cabaret on Rhode Island Free Radio. Nighty night.
All the From Monday to Tuesday, you don't have any fun. From Wednesday to Thursday, just gonna have a run. Friday and Saturday, you're always getting drunk. And Sunday, you stay at home and never go to church. Woo!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Jessica Prouty Band or 95 High, depending on when I got that track, and I can't even tell you when I got that track. Name of that song was Set Me Free. You're listening to My Night Out Radio, only on rifreeradio.org. This is DJ Psycho Eddie, and I'm looking around the room to a pretty much full house. We have Mr. George Gorner to my right. Directly across the table from me, we have Chuckles the Clown, and on the soundboard, we have Mr. Tony Jones.
If only we had our webcam going, because there's a lot of sexy in this room tonight.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Especially since we can still lie.
That's it. We just put a thumbprint on that. It acts like a filter and makes us look even more sexy.
They use it for Barbara Walters.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I did another culinary, gastronomic, tour, we'll call it. But we were very specific this time. We went with microbrews. And even more, I went for nano brews. Have you heard of a nano brew?
I've heard of it, but don't know more than that.
See the size of this office?
Yep.
Picture this double. That was the entire size of not only the brewing area, fermenting area, and the tap room where they were giving out samples.
Huh.
And they had a full kitchen mixed in there, too.
And when it's done, right?
Yeah. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. This Saturday, I went up to the up in Massachusetts, Sturbridge area.
Okay.
Charlton, Mass. We were originally going to go to, which is actually known as the Mecca for microbrews in the Northeast, which is Treehouse Brewing. Pulled into the parking lot only to find out they weren't open. They had a private party. We couldn't get in. So panicked, of course, break out the phone, Google breweries in the area, and there's like 20 of them. Okay, we can do this. Every one of them's within 5 minutes. I'm not going to do them all. I enjoy having a liver. But we hit a couple. First one we hit, Altruist Brewing Company. Not a very big menu. There's probably only about 8 or 9 different varieties of beer, IPAs. You had pale ales, brown ales, blonde ales. Not only do they have a pumpkin ale, but they also have a new one on me, which is the New England IPA.
Okay.
They're all averaging between 4.5% to about 7-8% alcohol. Bitterness, of course, IPAs are higher and whatever. But they do a 5-ounce pour. They do a 16-ounce pour. If you want to bring food, bring food. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they have food trucks, sometimes they don't. And that's kind of a theme with most of the breweries that we went to. I got to say, the beers were very cold, crisp. When you're at the bar, you look to the left, that's where all the brewing kettles were. And they were brewing batches somewhere around 40 to 50 barrels at a time. A barrel runs about 36, 37 gallons. You do the math because I'm not about to. They do a decent-sized microbrew.
Now, when Mrs. Psycho Eddie was here earlier, she had said that she let her hair down a little bit this weekend. Is that what she was drinking?
At this one, she tried, it's called Johnny Fry, which is a New England IPA. It's about 7.5%, almost 8% alcohol. Being an IPA, it's kind of on the hoppy side, nice floral flavor to it. It's also the one I had. The floral flavor that comes out of an IPA, sometimes if they use the wrong hops, it gets all muddled. If they use the right type of hops, it's got a nice crisp flavor to it. So I'm not going to get into the analogies of beers, and because
almost like a mushy taste as opposed to.
I liken it to either a wet dog or a musty basement. And unfortunately, because they're out of Boston, I shouldn't say it, but I will. I cannot drink anything from Jim Cook. Sam Adams. I can't drink anything from Sam Adams because they use a certain type of hops, which to me tastes like I'm licking a basement floor.
We had one at Casey's Tap a few years back, right, that we could not give away.
Kept sharing it amongst each other. No one could drink it.
You want this?
So long story short, we were there for about a half hour. And, of course, when you're in a brew pub type situation like this, people are very chatty.
Right.
Probably half snapped, but they were very chatty. And they recommended a few other places to try what they did and didn't like in the area. So on their recommendation, we went to our next stop, which was, if I bring it up here, Rapscallion. Rapscallion Brewery in Sturbridge, Mass. It's a brewery and tap room. Again, this is exactly where they brew. Where we were sitting, the table we were sitting at while we were enjoying these beverages, frosty cold, might I add, I was leaning against one of the fermenters. They had just drained it. We were in the fermentation room, so it's nice and cool. Nice breeze coming through. They are situated on, it's got to be about 150 acres. So they have a Frisbee golf course. Wow. They have a food truck that backs right up to the building, and you just walk up to the back door and order food from them. Again, they had, I'm going to go about 8 or 9 different beers. Personally, I went for one. It was just a blonde. Nothing too fantastic about it. You know, it wasn't a high alcohol content, but it did have nice flavors from coriander, orange peel, and some other almost like a wintry spice mix.
Okay.
And the orange flavor to it, they just pop right out. As I'm looking at it now, it's a 7% alcohol. Nice. So yeah,
that helps the pop.
That helps the pop nicely. I'm actually salivating right now thinking about it.
It's funny you should mention that, because before the show started tonight, I said, okay, we have pizza here in the studio. I love pizza. Yeah. I'm full now. There's nothing he can talk about tonight that's going to make me just want to throw a punch at him for making me
And guess what?
You have accomplished.
I have accomplished that.
Yes.
I did try just tastes of other beers. I did try the rye IPA, 30% rye malt into a pretty hoppy mix as well. The Rapscallion IPA I tried, and they also have a blueberry, similar to a Wachusett that we have in the fridge right now.
All right, that doesn't tempt me as much as the rest of the proceedings, because I just think that would be too sweet. It just would disagree with my taste.
What's that? The blueberry?
The blueberry, yeah.
Well, if you have enough hops to it, the blueberry does it. You have the blueberry flavor, but you don't have that sicky sweetness.
So that's what I'm picturing. Yeah.
No, I mean, if you have it, the right one, like this one over here, they had a nice hop to it. Uh-huh. So you have the bitterness. It tastes like a beer, which just happens to have a blueberry flavor in it.
The wrong ones in that category taste like you're drinking jelly.
Yeah.
Some of them are awful.
Yeah. So that's what I had at Rapscallion. Now, Rapscallion, by the way, this is from where we are right now, is only about an hour and 15 minutes to get there. So it's not, oh my God, I'm not going to make it. The ride home, on the other hand, unless you have someone else driving you, I would either get a room in the area, or what we did, we had the designated driver, which unfortunately was me. So I had one full beer, and I had a couple of sips out of everyone else's glass. There were 3 couples that went up, me and my wife and 2 other couples. And we had a blast. I'm telling you, I mean, this one, by the way, Rapscallion, you can get cans and growlers. So if you found something you like, you get a growler. Right. Take it home with you, and wait till you get home to open it. Or they have cans. They will can whatever it is right there in front of you. It's amazing how you went from mass-produced Spudweiser to now Rapscallion Brewery on the end of a back road somewhere in Massachusetts. They have the ability to can beers right there.
I'll tell you, I have my own personal theory that we see this boom in microbrew and all this individual effort as far as beer.
Yeah.
My personal theory is that it was Budweiser and Miller Lite that were the cause of this.
Yeah.
And it was just it's like people got tired of drinking like rat piss.
Sucked so bad.
People just said there's got to be a better way.
And think about that for a second. Think about how bad a product has to suck
before
for the general public to say, I'm going to make my own.
I'd go through a lot of time, effort. And,
once you realize, I mean, going back almost 20 years now, I was actually part of a brewers club.
Oh.
You know, we would get together at someone's house who had everything set up, and we would pick a recipe. All right, we're going to do a red ale or whatever. And we would brew, and, well, at that point, once we had a few batches in, we had kegs, we had the whole 9 yards. So we would drink half a batch, brew another batch. And then the next time we got together once a week, sometimes once every other week, and we would just get snapped and brew beer. But for almost a year and a half, I never left the house because whatever I wanted a beer, just go downstairs, pull a tap. You know how scary that is to have a tap in your own basement.
Kind of like having an Xbox in your own parents' basement, and it just something that tethers you there.
Oh yeah. Well, meanwhile, if you're paying attention, listen very closely. That's the sound of a fine Pabst Blue Ribbon.
I was just going to say, if you were going to try to torment people with the thought that was one of these spontaneously canned microbrews, I was going to just that ain't it. No, honesty in broadcasting right here.
If nothing, I am honest. Now, I would love to have taken some of these home with me. However, I was outvoted by my wife. You know, she does.
She does the budget.
Well,
that's what she does.
She does the household budget. I still have my own money from driving for Uber and whatever. No, she knows.
Oh, okay.
She knows. But I just couldn't justify spending the amount of money it was going to cost for a 6-pack of this stuff.
Right.
Because it's microbrew. It's very good, and you do pay for it.
Right.
For a 16-ounce plastic cup, you're spending anywhere in the realm of $6 to $9. Wow. At this one, at Rapscallion. Is it worth it? Yeah, it is good.
I think about, in my Pabst Blue Ribbon drinking days, $6 to $12 was about 6 months' worth of drinking money, especially when Club Hell had the 50-cent drafts before 9 p.m.
Oh, 50-cent drafts, Buck a Bush night. Yeah, I remember those nights where you just absolutely assaulted your liver. Well, I'm going to take a break here, leave you guys taunted because the best is yet to come. This, by far, the best beer I've had, and I'm going to say this on record, best beer I've had in my life.
You're going out on that much of a limb.
Yes, it's that good. So we're going to leave here, take a little break. We're going to listen to a little bit of Frantic Endeavor. The name of this one is Butterflies. We'll be back in a minute.
Anxious, so jealous.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Frantic Endeavor. Name of that one was Butterflies. Now, you heard about the first two stops, Altruist and Rapscallion.
Yeah.
Now, on to, and I actually had to reiterate this off the air with everyone in the room. This was hands down the best beer I've had in my life. I went to Home Field Brewing, which literally is when you take the turn to go up to Rapscallion, it's right there. It is underneath an antique shop. When you go in, it looks like it is the basement of the building. You look up in the ceiling, there's rust beams, like post and beams. It's not square lumber, it's round trees that have been cut.
Right, hand cut.
Now, when we got in there, there was a band, Mean Black Spider, awesome blues band. They were tearing it up. I don't think there was maybe more than 5 tables. Wasn't very big. However, what they lacked in size, they made up for in taste. Now, it was called Ballpark. It's only a light ale. It's only 6% alcohol. Not overly hopped, but it had a very good hop flavor to it. It is unfiltered. Ice cold on tap. Excellent beer. Now, my wife had found one that she liked. Again, it's called Rise, and then just explain it as hoppy. It was an IPA. Now, the one that I just couldn't handle, I sampled from someone else's glass, but I just can't do it. And it's a new wave that they're coming out with microbrews and high-end beers, the sours. Have you tried a sour?
No, I haven't. But again, that comes under the kind of like what I said about I question the blueberry.
Yep.
Now, if something tells me if the sour isn't done exactly right, it's not going to be good.
Even if it's done right, I personally
Still
don't like it. My sister-in-law and my friend Cheryl, who was with us, they loved them. They absolutely loved the sours. Personally, I'm not a fan.
Okay, well, how do you get to how do you attain the sour?
It is a lactic fermentation is the best I can figure. And what they do after the fermentation is done is that's when they add either cider, raspberry juice, whatever the case is, whatever the fruit flavor they're putting in the background. So it's a clean fruit flavor, almost like a pulp that they're putting in it. It's not
affected from the process.
Exactly. So you're getting that little taste of fruit. In this case, I believe it was raspberry, because that's what it's saying right over here. It was raspberry, but it was a very sour, very acidic. Very acidic.
Okay, yeah.
Aftertaste to it.
Yeah.
I personally not a big fan. But when the band took a break, I actually had a chance to talk to the owner. I introduced myself, told him that he was getting a little bit of a mention on the radio show, and he took me for a 3-second tour because where he brews is literally right next to the taps. He has, or what they do is a 40-gallon, 1-barrel batch. They brew it, they keg it, they serve it. That's it. They do have a kitchen. They do have some very interesting food choices there. They did have bacon wrapped scallops. They had shrimp. They had a few other things. They had oysters. But from this little kitchen, I mean, the kitchen took up a quarter of the room, and if it was 400 square feet total, I mean, this was a tiny place. Awesome music.
Right.
Very rustic looking tables were made with slabs of whatever tree with the live edge on it, benches, regular chairs. In the corner, there's a chalkboard, just different colored chalks. And I'm guessing the guy, well, not guessing, I know the guy was from RISD. I'm guessing he was feeling a bit artistic because while I was sipping, I actually had 2 beers at this stop. While I was sipping on my beers, I watched him go from a blank slate to, it honestly looked like a tree. He did a beautiful scene on the chalkboard. The band, Mean Black Spider, they were absolutely tearing it up. Tight doesn't even come to describe how good these guys were. And, of course, again, the absolute best beer I've ever had in my life. It was just like the trifecta of awesome.
Right. The only question I have now, and I hate to bring a practical, real world question into the aesthetic proceedings.
Yep.
But now you mentioned like they're small,
Yes.
they're expensive to run, obviously.
Not very, because the beers here are only running in the $5 to $6 range.
But that's my question would be, my general question, not about just this place in particular, but are these all financially viable projects? If I'm saying, in other words, or is this something we're going to enjoy today, and like a band, it's gone. Then it's the next month.
Unfortunately, they're already starting to drop off.
True. In the case of Homefield, hopefully they're around for forever. Excuse me. But what I can tell you is they were established in 2016. They actually didn't brew there for the first couple of months. They had to wait to get their licensing to actually brew on premise. So they tied in with a couple of other breweries, Treehouse being one of them, KDC was another one, Rapscallion was another one, and they actually were able to pick the master brewers' brains from those breweries to get ideas on what to do with their own beer. And they brewed on someone else's premise and then brought it into their brew house.
No, I'm not questioning the quality of the brew.
No. What I'm saying, as far as financially viable, they weren't. It didn't look like they were hurting.
Hopefully not.
Only time can tell. Well,
yeah, I would like to see something these days be financially viable and have to last a while if I like it.
yeah. Well, if they're, hopefully I have something to do with it. These people, if they have enough business, they will stay, or they might actually have to increase the size of the venue because the beer was amazing, absolutely amazing. The best beer of my life. But we did have to leave there eventually, unfortunately. So as we were coming home, now I left the house at 2. We got up there around 3 o'clock, 3 stops. So it's around 9 o'clock, 9:30 when we're heading home. Now, all we've done all day was drink.
I'm not seeing a problem.
Yeah,
I'm not did that sound like a complaint? Because it was
would
not.
call living the dream.
So we did have to grab something to eat on the way home, and coming through Putnam, Connecticut,
Hey, George's neck of the woods.
Yeah. Well, we like I said, cutting through Putnam, coming down Route 6. We found a place called Basilico Cafe. Now, at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, when we rolled up, most places would be closed. These people, they still have a late night menu. Okay. Only like 4 or 5 entrees, a couple of appetizers, salads, whatever. Simple, but it's not going to be the full menu like they're going to have all day.
Now this is in Putnam. In Putnam.
This is in Putnam. Everything else was up in Charlton, Sturbridge, Mass, up in that area.
No, but I just want to, if I want to, drop by the.
If you would like to drop by, this place is 75 Main Street in Putnam, Connecticut. It's in a little strip mall. There's another restaurant right next door to it. They have outside seating. We sat outside because it was late enough, and it was actually still quite warm.
But
so
reasonable.
Yeah. Being late at night, we weren't going for a great big meal. Plus, Sunday I had to go out with my father for Father's Day, which we did it a week early, and I'll tell you that in a minute.
So this was a snack.
Yeah, this was just something so you're not going to bed hungry.
Right.
So my wife and I actually split a meal: chicken parm, a little bit of pasta, and a Caesar salad. Caesar salad, dressed nicely. Maybe a little bit too much dressing for my taste, but it was very good. Croutons crunchy. They had, it was the right type of cheese, shredded, shaved, not shredded. The chicken parm and the pasta, it didn't have that puddle of water. You know what I'm talking about?
Exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So the sauce was definitely a meat-based sauce. So I will call it a gravy. I know I'm going to get hate mail on this one. I don't care. If any type of a sauce, doesn't matter what color it is, has meat in it, it is a gravy. So red gravy on the pasta and the chicken, nice and thick, meaty, good texture to it. Pasta was cooked perfectly. The chicken had to be the size of my hand.
Wow.
And it wasn't pounded out. It was just some like abnormally large irradiated chicken that got that big. A huge piece of chicken. Bill didn't come to more, well, for us, it was only like $15, $18.
Wow.
Nice.
So, yeah, well, again, we split it so one person could eat there for $15, $18. I only had soda at that point because I was just trying to get liquids in that didn't have alcohol in it. So that's one of my recommendations. And then, like I mentioned, Sunday, I went out with my dad, my parents, for Father's Day. And we hit the place called Copacabana. Now, I mentioned this once before. Copacabana is a Colombian restaurant. We got I got the mixed grill. My wife got fried chicken, chicken chicharrones. Before for the appetizer, we got actual chicharrones, which is they call it pork skin, but it's pork skin, a little layer of fat, and a good sized chunk of meat, and they deep fry it.
Oh, yeah.
Deep fried pork with no breading on it is absolutely tasty. That
reminds me, I got to call my cardiologist.
And of course, you had to have the calamari because, well, who doesn't like calamari? Yeah, calamari came out with a sweet chili sauce, so it had a little bit of heat, a little bit of sweet, fried perfectly. There wasn't that chewy rubber band consistency. It actually had the consistency of seafood.
Yeah, there's a fine line between the rubber band and...
Oh, yeah, and it's in the matter of seconds.
Yeah.
We also got a chorizo, which basically was just a link of sausage on a plate. And that was made in-house. Excellent. Chicharrones were good. I got the mixed grill. Now, the only way I can describe this to is, the Chinese containers, the styrofoam rectangle that you get your whole combination plate in?
Yeah.
That's what I used for my leftovers.
Nice.
That's how much food they give you. My father got the mixed seafood stew, which was a cream-based stew. My mother got pork loin in a mango salsa. You're writing this down, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I'm going to ask you to read the name of the place and its address.
Yeah, Copacabana Colombian restaurant on 888 Charles Street in North Providence, Rhode Island. If you remember the address, it's the old McNeil's.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do.
Well, walk in the door on the low side, and they still have the bar on the upper side.
But do they still have the crappy bands?
No. They have Colombian music playing, and usually soccer is playing in the one of the TVs. Again, food is excellent. I cannot say enough about it. The quantity of food you get is mind-boggling. I have no idea how they can make a profit. Now, the four of us ate, a couple of drinks, couple of sodas, $99.
Wow.
Not even $100 for four people to eat before tip. So, yeah, that was my culinary escapades for this weekend. When we come back, we've got a few things coming up that we're going to talk about. We're going to leave here with a little bit of Blindside Thunder. The name of this one is Tequila. We'll be back in a minute.
Get
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Kor Razik, band out of New York. Name of that one was Rockstar. Before that, we had Blindside Thunder, Tequila. By the way, if you want to be part of the show, you want to get your word out there, you want to promote something, you want to promote your band, you want to send me some music, hit me up, mynightout.radio@verizon.net. Also, check out the website, mynightoutri.com, for all your upcoming events needs. Facebook. Hit me up at Facebook.com/MyNightOut. Twitter and Instagram. You can check me out at DJ Psycho Eddie, and I do monitor my Instagram and Twitter during the show. Brain fart. Sorry about that. Coming up. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. iTunes. We are now available on iTunes. I think I mentioned that a couple weeks ago, but.
It bears repeating.
It bears repeating. Check me out on iTunes. Look me up, My Night Out Radio, on the iTunes. Now, this is a very, very eclectic time of year, food-wise, because everyone is doing their get-togethers with food trucks.
Yeah.
Warwick is doing it. I think Warwick does it on a Thursday.
And
Friday nights.
Multiple locations in Warwick. You can go to Conimicut, you can go to Rocky Point, you can go to City Hall.
Exactly. And then you also have the one Friday nights at Roger Williams Park, right at the carousel. Now, I'm just doing some research. We have some very interesting, to say the least, interesting food trucks around the state. Now, we've talked about a few of them, but this is only a partial listing, by the way. Some of them are transient, so they'll be here. Sometimes they're in Mass, Connecticut, where have you. But one that I have yet to see is Atomic Blonde Ice Cream. I think ice cream and lemonade was the originators of the food truck. You have Baby's Bonetown Barbecue. I made sure I said everything on that one. You have Buddha Belly. Our friends over at Championship Melt.
Yeah.
Grilled cheese sandwiches, comfort foods.
Now, professional wrestling theme. You can't beat that.
Exactly. You have Fancheesical, which is giving him a run for his money because it is also grilled cheeses and Tex-Mex. And then you have Fantex Mexical, which is the sister truck to the Fancheesical. They're doing Tex-Mex, Mexican, and tacos, along with grilled cheese. Frisky Fries, which is now evolved into a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Fugo, which is Asian, fusion, and Latin American. Gastros, which is, sausage. Sausages, American traditional food, hot dogs, brats, different types of meat of ill providence in tube form. Haven Brothers, it's been around. It is, I think it's on the register as one of the oldest or the oldest food truck in the country, which parks every night right next to the Providence City Hall. If you have not been there, go. You have to try the Murder Burger. Well worth it. Hometown Poke, which is seafood and Hawaiian. Poke Bowls, not Poke Balls. That's Pokemon. That's
when you're wearing short shorts.
Incredible, which is another one. They're doing comfort foods, salads, smoothies, juice, basically healthy stuff. You have Jeff's Wood-Fired Pizza, another ice cream one, which is Like No Other.
Yeah, they're good.
They are vegan and vegetarian.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
I think they have a brick and mortar little spot too.
I have not seen it yet. If you're into the Vietnamese or the vegetarian, they have Lotus Pepper. Again, based out of Rhode Island, based out of Providence, Rhode Island. Mamita's Food Truck, which is Latin American. Open Season, where they do New American, organic, and they just put it as other, which means you're going to be able to get venison, elk, bison, what have you.
I think they get whatever is the, if wild boars, what's at the butcher that's fresh that week, then they're having wild boar that week.
Which I think is pretty cool because it's introducing people to something they don't ordinarily have. I mean, even if you're a hardcore foodie like me, where, I mean, I can go in, I could tell you who cooked the tripe at whatever restaurant. And for me to go and say, well, I've never had that before is it's a feat to surprise me with
rarity.
something. It is. One of my favorites, especially when you're hammered, the Poco Loco taco truck.
Yeah.
One truck that actually took care of us at the paranormal convention a couple years back. Presto Strangio coffee truck. They said that thought Tony did a wonderful job that weekend and gave us some free teas, which it was like 900 degrees out and we were dying. And
They have some high test coffee there too.
Yep. Now, wherever you see these trucks, you know, there are some that rank higher than others, some that I can tell you unequivocally you have to try. One of those is Rocket Fine Street Food.
Yeah.
They have the Gemini Burger, which is a double cheeseburger. Just the sheer volume of stuff in between the two buns, you will get tectonic shift between the patties because there's just so much to try to ingest in one bite. They're amazing.
Right, and it's important to make a point, too, that these are not our father's trucks.
Oh, no, these are not the roach coaches
Yeah.
of yore.
I mean, because I'm sure I'm sure some folks out there that as soon as you start talking about food truck, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They think slop.
Yeah, well, these are very well put together. These people put a lot of time and effort into it. These are rolling restaurants. These are not roach coaches, the catering truck that comes to the work site at some construction site or whatever.
Right, the truck that somebody's driving because he can't afford a restaurant or got kicked out of the restaurant or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be, right.
This is someone who's actually taken a lot of time and effort into making these foods and getting them out to you
Yep.
very, very well. Dell's Lemonade. Again, since the 1840s is when Dell's started making lemonade in Naples, Italy. So that tells you how old the recipe is just for Dell's. Elwood's Doghouse, another one that we've frequented. Great Northern Barbecue, excellent barbecue. They got a brisket, which you don't even have to chew. You just rub it on the roof of your mouth and disintegrates. Which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Great Northern Barbecue works out of Oogie's Trailer Park up in Providence on, I believe that's Westminster Street. And the only other one I really got to bring out, Mijo's Tacos. I stopped there. It's a LA-style taco truck. Food is excellent. Granted, the neighborhood they're in might get a little sketchy at times.
Good meal.
The food is excellent. Actually, it's better because you're taking your life into your own hands sometimes.
Even a death row inmate gets a final meal, right?
That's right. Okay, all right, you can bust another cap at me. Just let me finish my taco. And Paco's Tacos is the only, Paco's Tacos. They now have two locations: one in Cranston, one in Warwick, and then you have the truck that goes around.
Right.
I mean, I've been to that truck. I've been to both brick and mortars. Their food is excellent. They actually have rolled tacos. Taco Tuesday, $1 for a rolled taco. I got 6 of them. I could not finish. I could not finish 6 tacos. It's beyond me. So those are just some of the trucks, and I'm still scrolling through. There's a bunch of them that I could
I'm sure
talk
not
about.
even listed is that little food truck scene that's popping up on Broad Street.
Oh, exactly. Actually, one of them actually is listed on food trucks. Yeah, food trucks in. foodtrucksin.com.
Yeah.
And you have to look up by the city, Providence, Rhode Island. One of the ones that's popping up off of Broad Street, actually more towards the Westminster Street side, is the Saison Bandit. It's a Caribbean, Spanish, a little bit of almost a Portuguese spin. Really good food there. I've stopped there once or twice just because I was starving and I
Yeah,
was driving for
just 'cause
Uber.
it was
and
there.
I was in the neighborhood. I just
that.
dropped someone off or grabbed something quick to eat, and the food was excellent.
I've left, when Firehouse 13 was down, I left Firehouse 13 thinking, man, there's no way I'm going to be able to get something to eat at this hour. And all those food trucks were still open past closing time. It was fantastic.
If you go down Broad Street 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, they are jumping because everyone's just getting out of the clubs at that time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, cracking my second, actually it's my third PBR of the night. I'm not going to lie to you. But we're going to take a break. Actually, we got 5 minutes left.
That's about it.
We're going to wrap it up for the night. So we're going to say thank you for listening in. George, thank you for sticking around.
You're
Tony,
quite welcome.
Tony, thank you for just letting us do the things we do. I want to thank RJ for not showing up tonight because, thanks, RJ. We're going to leave here with a little bit of Pistol Shot Gypsy. The name of this one is called Love Junkie. Have a good night, everybody.